If you are looking to improve your cycling performance in 2024, following these 7 tips is a perfect place to start on your journey to becoming a better cyclist. Let's start with the single biggest thing that you can do to improve your performance: fueling your rides correctly. This is one of the single biggest areas of development in recent years and is probably one of the easiest to implement as well. The days of consuming 0 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour are long gone. If you want to ensure that you complete your ride with the best physical performance, you should be looking to consume 90 to 100 grams of carbohydrate per hour. This is easier than ever thanks to the development of sports nutrition that focuses on the digestibility and absorption of the energy products. This is normally done by combining glucose and fructose. Of course, as always, you should still aim to eat natural products wherever possible, but it's worth knowing that there are specific products out there if you need them. As for hydration, not a huge amount has changed recently. You need to ensure that you are adequately hydrated before training and aim to consume an absolute minimum of 500 ml of fluid per hour. If the weather is hotter or the intensity increases, so should your fluid consumption. The key thing to look for when it comes to hydration is just making sure that you have enough minerals in your body. This is most easily done by drinking an electrolyte mixture. This will help your body to continue its basic functions as well as performing to its highest possible level. Next up is aero position. The biggest force of resistance that we must overcome as cyclists is air. No matter how hilly your rides are, air resistance is a constant force trying to slow us down. Therefore, the best way to overcome this is to adapt our body position, our bike, or our equipment package. There are some basic things that you can do simply by adopting a more compact position, wearing tighter fitting clothing or textured materials. The quest for a more aerodynamic and efficient bike and rider setup knows almost no limits when it comes to cost, but you can take the basic principles from the most extravagant solutions and adjust them to fit your means. Even by simply keeping your bike clean and your chain correctly lubed will help make you a faster rider for free. Try to replicate some of the positions you see that the top riders adopt in races when they're riding solo. Within reason, you should gain enough visual clues as to what a fast setup looks like and aim to replicate this as you can when riding on the flat. The beauty of this is that you should actually be able to notice that you feel faster for less effort on the bike, and especially if you have a power meter, it's even easier to quantify. Good luck though, because this one does take some practice and a lot of time in that position. Next up is an amalgamation of tips, something that I used to tell myself on every single ride. When striving to improve your performance on the bike, it is sensible to also understand that not every session is going to feel good, or maybe even reach the numbers that you'd hope to see on that ride. However, on every session there is always something extra that you can focus on, and this is the beauty of cycling. It isn't a one-dimensional sport. By paying attention to these other aspects of the ride, you will ensure that it's still a constructive session no matter how bad you felt, and one that helped continue your progression in the world of cycling. Number 1, pedaling and cadence. Focus on how you're pedaling. Begin with looking at your cadence, the actual speed of your cadence, and aim to have good discipline with your gearing, not allowing your cadence to drop off too much towards the end of your efforts or the ride. Cadence is very personal though, so unless you're targeting a specific cadence and cadence drills, then the absolute RPM isn't as important as how you adjust your cadence relative to yourself. Try to find a cadence that is comfortable no matter what the terrain, and focus on completing a good, smooth, complete pedal revolution. Pedaling should have a nice fluid movement about it, so be aware of any jerky movements within your pedal stroke. These can actually quite often be addressed simply with an adjustment to your saddle, either the height or the tilt. Next up then is your position. Your form on the bike is always a very important aspect to not neglect. As a generalization, you should really only be pedaling from the hips and the waist down. Focus on relaxing your shoulders to facilitate deeper breathing and more easier breathing, and aim not to waste any energy from unnecessary movement on the bike. Think of the advice from the previous chapter in this video and start building it into your training. Ride for blocks of 2, 5, 10 or even 60 minutes, locked into that more efficient aerodynamic position. It will take time to adapt to this, but if you can do it on the difficult days, you'll absolutely fly on your better days. And then finally, number 3 here is your power, because this will always be important, but especially on the bad days. What you want to do here is to learn to smooth out the ride, dose the power into the terrain for maximum reward in your speed, rather than simply thrashing away when you're working against most resistance. Learning to do this will help you to become more efficient over time, improving your endurance, your average speed, and also your enjoyment. Focus on your technique and the technical aspects of cycling. This almost falls in the previous chapter, but it's worth its own focus. Paying attention to the technical demands of cycling and the technique and skills needed to ride well will do as much for your performance your confidence and your enjoyment on the bike as anything else in this video. Learning how your body weight influences the movement of the bike, learning how to use the brakes correctly before you break traction when on the limit of adhesion, finding out how much grip there is on a slippery wet climb by trying to get wheel spin, learning to be comfortable at low speed first and building up from there. Aim to dedicate time on each ride to low speed skills, track stands and bunny hops, for example. Reading the road ahead of you is also a technical skill, scanning and observing for hazards or different lines that may help you to avoid drain covers or white lines or patches of oil, for example. Paying attention to the road conditions around you is also very important. You'll quickly start to notice trends in the traffic, such as when there hasn't been a vehicle passing for a little while. It's probably a good time to look around. Or when a car is about to overtake, there's a high chance there's going to be a second car behind them, because on the whole, people tend to drive to the bumper in front of them. All of these skills will help you to become a safer and more competent rider out on the open road. Number 5, and we're now onto the more fun part of the video, including some intensity in your riding with interval training. Regular interval training will help lift your aerobic capacity, helping you to ride faster and further throughout 2024. If you were to include just 3 sessions regularly, I would recommend the following. Sprints. Not just because these are my favourite, but because they're incredibly beneficial, including 6 to 8 times 20-second maximum sprints in one session once a week. If you haven't done these before, you want to aim to be as explosive as possible at the start of the effort on the bike and hold on to it for the full 20 seconds, giving everything you have. The next session then is a classic VO2 session, 5 times 5 minutes. 5 minutes as hard as you can on, 5 minutes recovery, and then 5 minutes again. This will help to increase your VO2 capacity, helping you to transport more oxygen to the working muscles and increase the ceiling of your performance. Doing these also works well once a week. So that's one sprint session and a VO2 session. Next up, we have the threshold session, which is almost seen as outdated in modern training advice, but I believe it still has a place for cyclists that are closer to the beginning of their journey through the world of cycling. Simply ride as hard and as fast as you can for 30 to 60 minutes. This primarily will teach you a lot about pacing, but it will also improve your muscular endurance and be a great way to increase your functional threshold power, which is still important in cycling. If 60 minutes seems daunting, you can start with 2 times 20 minutes, as hard as you can, with 5 minutes easy in between. Build this up to 2 times 30 minutes. These sessions are hard, so you definitely don't want to do them more than once a week. If you were looking for a time-efficient way to improve your cycling, one of, if not the absolute best way to do this, is to include 2 30 to 40 minute sessions of strength and resistance training each week. There is no on-bike session that will do more for your performance for such a small amount of time than strength training. It is literally the single best performance enhancement you can make to your cycling. Every aspect of your performance and your comfort on the bike will be improved. It also helps your overall health, things like bone density. It may take a little while to get used to this sort of training if you've never done it before, but I promise you it's worth persevering with. And finally, nothing will make you more accountable than building towards a goal. Choose a goal that is around 3 months in the future and start training towards it. There is nothing quite like working towards a goal that is a little scary, a little challenging, but all being well, achievable. This goal should be something that motivates and drives you to remain consistent and committed to your training. Let us know if you have any goals for 2024 and drop them down in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you very, very much for watching us here at the Look Cycling Club. We hope to see you out on the roads in 2024.